So true. Funny how.
Well, wasn't that a nice way to start? Welcome
Stunning.
everybody to Season 3, SlyDog Racing League, Rounds 3 and 4. Just matches the day, I think. I don't know, obviously, what the weather's been like all around the UK, but in the east of England today, it's been glorious. And I was just saying, I've had the front room doors open, it feels like summer. And I think that's just like, you know, a song that reflects that. Because it's true, it really is true. Right, we should probably start talking about racing, I suppose. We're in Belgium tonight for the short qualifying session and the first of our 25% races, and then we will be in China for the reverse grid race, full reverse grid we should say as well, following on from the format of last week. As always, I am joined by co-commentator Aaron. Aaron, how are we doing?
Good evening, good evening. Yeah, not bad, buddy, not too bad. It's been a bit of a manic Monday.
That's
we
been
got
a
there.
manic Monday. Yeah.
It hasn't, isn't it?
We're here though, it's 8 o'clock, we can start doing what we do best, which is talk nonsense for a couple of hours mixed in with some racing.
Oh, it's pucker and chucker. I think what we should do though is very quickly let's recap last week's races out in Brazil and the Netherlands around the legendary Zandvoort circuit. Some serious action last week, wasn't there? With the new league format and the reverse grid, so a lot of excitement there.
Yep, new winners as well. So obviously we've had Osborne take a win,
maiden victory,
and was very pleased about that, from what we understand. But deserved it, very much deserved it. Had to fight strong there in the last couple of laps, I remember, to hold on to that. And then we saw, of course, Granty Boy take the win in Brazil, along with a driver of the day for his performance there. Took a bold strategy, but got there in the end and got the job done. So 2 great drives there, and they'll be looking to carry this on for next week. We've had some new drivers join as well, so a couple of people leave, a couple of people join, to recap that. So we've had, unfortunately, Rockstar and Peter, who have left the league, to be replaced by, I believe, we've got Pattison, who is a newcomer. Pattison's family apparently are watching this, so...
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. And then we've also had another gent. I can't remember his name.
I actually can't remember. This was a very, very recent sort of
Percy.
thing. I think that's the one.
Percy, mate.
So we welcome both of those to the league. To be fair, Tom, I've actually done a little bit of research into Ethan Patterson. He's looked pretty strong in the Discord. He posted a couple of videos of his previous races and looked very, very, very strong in his other league. So could be another interesting race tonight, seeing him take on Grant and Joseph Rados. It'd be nice to see Joseph Rados keeping on the pace again. And of course the McLaren of NUFC fan Liam, also on pace so far this season. So I think we're in for some good battles tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And just looking at the driver standings as well, obviously Osborne is currently leading that, as he had the better of the 2 races over Granty Boy, only by 2 points. Granty Boy really struggled in Netherlands, DNF that race, I believe. And then we've got quite close behind him, Mogi, sitting on 32 points to Granty Boy's 33, Osborne's 35, and then Joseph on 31. So the top 4 drivers, not much in it already, 2 races in. Constructors, Haas looking like a very strong pairing, so we'll be hoping that Osborne and I think it's Percy who's going to be with the Haas, is it? Or was it?
I think he is, yeah. I think he is.
So,
we've had a couple of messages in the chat as well, Tom. Seb has asked which beer tonight, so we've got,
Seb,
once
we'll get
again,
to that.
We'll get to that. We've got 2 episodes of beer chats to chow into just after quali, and we've also had a message on there from Paul. Good evening from Ethan's family. Whoop whoop. So that's going to be good to hear they're all watching. Good to see. Here we go though, Belgium. It's time for some qualifying.
So yeah, Belgium, short qualifying format in this league. Obviously that means with Belgium being quite a long track, I think laps probably in like 140, 145 depending on how quick you are, of course. It's going to be limited time for these guys to get round when they factor in, obviously, an out lap and a cool down lap as well. So possibly only probably 2, maybe 3, if they're really quick about it, runs around here. And with it being such a long circuit as well, there's obviously a lot to hook up and get right. Personally, I like it. I like Belgium. It's, fast, fun. You've obviously got the very exciting Eau Rouge and up to Radion and all the straights that come with that afterwards. We'll probably see majority of the overtaking there, I should imagine. But yeah, no, looking forward to tonight in Belgium, and I like China as well. So this is the perfect night for me.
This is a cracking night. It's going to be a good night for action. China's once again a great race to have second as well. It's going to be interesting to see, the reverse grid strategy working there. And just it caused a bit of chaos in Zandvoort, but I think around China it could work completely differently. So it's going to be some exciting racing. Now I think we're going to try and get hold of one of the drivers, N. Willis, the Racing Point driver, who was due to be with us a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately we couldn't get hold of him at the time. So we're going to try and get him in the chat this evening. Just, at the beginning of qualifying, give him a chance to get at least one run in.
So yeah, and as soon as we get a driver out on the track, we will get going with following them. I can hear an engine firing up, so as soon as we figure out who that is, that's going to be Osborne in the Haas, who's going to be out on track first. So he's already making his way up to the famous corner. So yeah, I mean, just talking more sort of about the track and the lap and everything. We raced this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, Aaron, in the Thursday League? What's your take on it? Are you quite comfortable around here, or do you like it as a track?
I do like Belgium as a track. It's an exciting circuit. It's a technical circuit. There's so much that can go wrong, but it's so. It's not like it's a satisfying one when you string a good lap together. Can be quite nice as well, in the sense that there's a lot of chance you can get offline and still pull some decent moves as well off the line. There's a decent amount of runoff. It's a nice wide circuit, but equally, it's not without its little quirks. So keeping off the inside curb is quite a big one. You got that. As you come down the hill, you got that big sweeping left-hander. I think where we see Osborne's just been in that Haas. You want to stay off the inside curb there because it can be absolutely lethal.
Yeah, come off many a time, unfortunately there. But hopefully we won't see any of that tonight. We'll see some fair racing. We've got the drama of the first couple of turns here as well. Always seems to cause a bit of carnage whenever I've raced it in a league, and there was nothing different about it when we raced it. I think it was a bit all over the place, if I remember correctly. I was definitely facing the wrong way. Okay, well, Osborne's just left the session, jumped into the pits straight away from his lap. So it looks like the first person we're going to get round on a flyer looks like it's going to be James Punt when he crosses the line. Or I think we might have a Williams. No, we're going to wait for James Punt to come across the line, and we'll keep an eye on his lap as the pace setter. But you can see what I was saying, obviously, about the drivers are only going to have a limited time around here. No one's even started a flying lap yet, and we are just ticking to just over 15 minutes left in the session. So if these guys want to get a couple of runs in, they've got to get it done quick, especially the guys in the pits at the moment. Right.
We won't be keeping Nick for very long for this chat. We'll let him get on with his qualifying session.
No, absolutely.
He's just dived into the pits, so I can imagine he will be joining us any moment now.
Yeah. So James Punt heading off on his first lap, then safely through the first couple of corners there, heading down onto the long back straight here. DRS zone tonight, so obviously we're expecting a lot of overtaking to be done in this area, and look forward to the battles we've got coming up. As we've already mentioned, a couple of the top runners in this league getting very tight between a couple of the guys at the top there. Obviously you've still got Granty Boy, who's looking like he's maybe a couple of seconds quicker, or a second and a bit quicker than most of the competitors, but you've got a group of about probably 6 or 7 just behind him who all look competitive and all on their day could take a win or a podium. So be very good to keep an eye on what happens tonight. Now, if I'm right in thinking, we've got Nick with us now.
Hi mate, you alright?
Yeah, how you doing? Not too bad. Right, so Belgium, how are you feeling? Are you looking forward to Belgium, or is it a case of cringing when you see it come up on the calendar?
I'm looking forward to it, but a bit slow still.
Yeah? Well, honesty is the best policy, you know. You can under-promise and over-deliver with that, so, you
That's
know,
it.
we'll be expecting big things now. So we can see, obviously, you haven't gone out and set a lap yet, so we won't keep you too long. But obviously, it looks like you maybe only are going to get maybe one and a bit runs round here. Where are you hoping to qualify at top 10, or you resigned to the fact you might be lower than that?
Yeah, maybe 13.
Right. Okay. Well, we wish you all the best with it. You've got to be confident.
Just before you get off, Nick, just a quick one. Obviously, you've only recently come back to league racing again. How are you finding SlyDog? I think Trem said you'd only been back a matter of weeks towards the end of season 2, so this is going to be your major full season again. How are you finding it?
Yeah, addicted again, but I've changed over to a wheel now, so I'm kind of getting used to it again and again.
Yeah, adapting and adapting.
Really on the back foot.
Right, well, we'll let you get to it and have a great race, have a great qualifying, and hope to see you up there. And good luck for
cheers,
Belgium and
boys.
China.
Enjoy the race, lads.
Cheers,
Yeah,
mate.
we'll do. Right, so we'll stay with Preston Mixer then, who's going to be setting the next time across. He goes slowest out of anyone so far who's set a time by a good second and a bit there, so I wonder if he'll be going straight away for another fly around here. Of the times we have set so far, so we've got Mogi, one of the names you mentioned, sitting a 43.7, Albert with a 44.3, and very close behind him in the Red Bull, Trem, only a couple of hundredths down on the time that Albert has set.
Yeah, that's another driver move we need to mention there. Trem, obviously, after Peter has left Red Bull, Trem has stepped in that second seat for the Red Bull team, so he's paired up now with Grant. I would also like to mention though that Albert currently sitting P2, setting his lap on the medium tyre, and there's a couple of guys out there who've also set their times on mediums. D Lawson being one of them, and Chatty Duck as well.
So maybe we'll ride on board with the new boy then, Patterson. Is that Patterson or Pattinson? Pattison. I think we've got that right. So in the Renault today, making his debut. Brilliant choice of number there as well, 89, liking that. Coming across the line then, let's see where he can put himself here. It looks like it is going to be a very quick lap, right up there with the best of them it seems. 1:43.7, so straight onto provisional pole for Patterson so far. Obviously we've only had half the field set laps, but a very solid start to your SlyDog Racing League career. If you're getting up there and beating some of those names that we know, Mogi, obviously Albert, Trem as well, all very quick. So good start for the Renault driver there. Obviously we see a couple of people now starting to dive into the pits, getting ready for their second runs. Wheeler needs to be careful. Looks like he's maybe been round twice already, but is struggling to set a time, invalidating the last couple of laps, so needs to be careful here that he doesn't waste too much of an opportunity on those tyres and possibly get back in to get a fresh set on. And then we've got a couple of guys out front as well who look like they're maybe going to be coming in soon to have a little bit of the break and get ready for this final run. So midway point here in the qualifying session coming up, and we still only have half the field who have set laps.
Yeah, it's going to be all or nothing really for a few of these boys here at the minute. We see Grant is just heading out, so's Liam. I think it might well have been a case that they were trying to wait for the track to clear down a little bit. Not that it's really going to matter out here in Belgium.
No, it's such a long track length, yeah.
You've got that bit of leeway.
And we should actually mention, we've got Vicky644 rather than Percy in here, who's one we mentioned earlier. So Vicky644 picked up as a reserve driver, I believe, for this evening. He's going to be jumping in the Haas seat, and we're riding on board with him at the moment. He's just set a purple first sector, I believe, so we'll keep on board with him here and see how he can do. Another newcomer to the league, of course. Albert goes second fastest now, overtaking Mogi's time with a 1:43.7, still on the medium tyres as well, though. So you do feel like when he gets on those soft, if he gets on those soft, he is going to have quite a lot of pace.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a strategy point of view. I mean, he's so close to the time that Ethan set in that Renault. From a strategic point of view, is he going to stick it out on those mediums?
Yeah,
We've seen him do it before. He's done it a lot last season, so it could be interesting to see how that works out for him.
invalidation for Vicky there, so that's a shame because that was looking like it was going to be a very strong lap for the newcomer driver. We've got Joseph Morados, who is making his way around Sector 2 at the moment. Again, another name currently sitting fourth in the drivers' table. Had a very strong performance last time out here, putting some great moves, I remember, in Holland, to get himself back into contention in that race. So we'll be looking for him to make some decent moves tonight.
And right behind him is Grant, so I wonder if Grant can catch him enough to potentially take a tow up into Sector 3.
I think he will be definitely getting a tow off of this straight that's coming up. Obviously got the slight kick to the left, which at Formula 1 cars, it's not really a turn for, but obviously, it does lose a bit of speed coming up here. But he will get a nice tow down to this final chicane.
Yeah, I noticed that Morados had just set fastest Sector 2, but that was instantly undone as Grant came through. So
Morados is going to go across the line here very quickly, but he's going to be followed up by Granty Boy, who beats him by over a second, 1.2 in fact. So Granty Boy on the medium setting that time as well. Joseph setting a 1:43.5. That shouldn't be ignored because that's a very quick time on the softs as well. But 1:42.3 on the mediums is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, that was like we said there, taking that tow just off the back end of Sector 2, catching up enough, and then just getting the draft up the hill there through Sector 3. It's something that he's going to have that a lot of the drivers at the minute in this session haven't got. They've not really had that distance behind another car. So well-timed lap there from Grant.
Yep.
Very, very strategic. Good to see. He planned that one out well, if it were planned.
One driver we are about to see cross the line, Butler, who maybe didn't have the best of races last week, but certainly looked fast wherever he's been so far for SlyDog Racing League. This is going to be a very quick time indeed. He's going to be setting a 1:43.3, putting himself onto the first row of the grid so far. So fantastic work there from the Williams driver. We should mention as well, NUFC fan Liam's finally set a lap, 1:43.8. So putting himself very much in the middle of the pack at the moment. We've got Wolsey and Lanardcam, who are on flyers as well, yet to have set a lap. So we'll ride on board with Wolsey. Actually, we'll go to Lanardcam first because he's a little bit further along the track as they make their way round. And this was the left-hander you're talking about, wasn't he, when he's coming up to now? So if you just clip the left-hand curb when you cut back across here, it does send you spinning so easily, doesn't it?
Just unsettles the rear of the car. You've got the power. You're sort of feathering onto the power. At that point, you're going to be hitting that curve, and you just light the rear tyre up on that oncome, and it can just really unsettle the car. And of course, you're coming through there practically full throttle. So as soon as that slide begins, it's almost unstoppable.
We should give a shout out to Chatty Duck. Chatty Duck's just put himself on the first row of the grid, so bettering Butler's time by just over a tenth. So well done there to Chatty Duck.
Massive for work. Chatty Duck there. Ferrari weren't having some great races leading into here, so it'd be good to see the Canadian driver there.
Points for sure.
Doing absolute bits.
About to come across the line. Where's he going to put himself? He's going to put himself ninth, just 2 places above his Mercedes teammate James Punt. So work to do for the Mercs if they're going to be getting themselves up the order for the upcoming session. And we've got Who else just set a lap? I couldn't quite catch up with that in the end. 44.8. So yeah, well done there.
See, Osborne is still sitting in that other Haas in pit lane, so will he get a chance to get? He's going to have to leave fairly soon to actually.
He is, yeah, because obviously it's a minute 40 to get round when you're doing it fast.
You can see that Lanardcam has just gone round for another lap, which looked like he set a fastest Sector 1 momentarily, but I think that's just been broken. Just try and see who was following him through there.
So a lot of the drivers coming in now for possibly just try and sling a set on very quickly, and then maybe have one more go at this. It'll have to be a very fast outlap if they're going to. Mogi's making his way around, but he's invalidated that lap unfortunately, so he's not going to improve at the moment. Trem is currently just headed off on a flyer as well, I believe, so he'll be making his way round. We'll catch up with him a bit later on in his lap. Wolsey, is he having another go at it here? I think he is going to be trying to set another flyer, although very close to losing it there, just mounting that outside curb and almost losing the rear end, it seemed. But he's currently 2/10 slower than his quickest time at the moment, so he's going to have to pull it out of the bag here if he does want to improve his time on this lap.
Yeah, meanwhile, we see Ethan starting another flying lap now, so he's got a lot of free space on the circuit. He's going to go out on those softs again, up through Eau Rouge, just to see if he can better his time there, maybe move a little bit further up the grid. But still, you've got to be saying P5 debut qualifying session here at SlyDog. He's putting in a good performance here, good solid performance. It'd be nice to see how he controls his race start here.
Yes, yeah, obviously we don't want to see anyone pull a Mazepin, do we?
No, definitely not. He's just taking a little bit too much curve coming through sector 1, so I think
he's
he's
going
just
to
going to slow
abandon
down,
that. Yeah.
take the edge off the tyres there, don't use them up too much, because I think this will probably be the only set you'll get in for the end of the qualifying session now.
So Butters has just come across the line to try and better his time, but he was 2 seconds slower in the end, so he's going to have one more go at it, I feel. Over half the field currently in the pits, maybe just getting ready to sling that last set on and give it their all. But we still have 3 drivers who are yet to set a lap. Wheeler is one of them who's currently out there trying to set a flyer. We'll keep on board with him. Wheeler's been quite consistent through this league. I think he got awarded Most Improved Driver towards the end of last year as well. We'll be looking to him to pull it out of the bag here, I think, and put himself at least maybe into the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some really looking at the timing screen there, looking at some really close times in the grand scheme, between the top 16 drivers there. It's not looking too bad between times. Be interesting to see what Wheeler can put in, and Osborne, I think, is now out on a flyer, or is about to start a flying lap. I think he's just coming up through Eau Rouge now. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some nice time from him as Ethan sets himself another lap, but doesn't quite better his last time, obviously invalidated, so he's about to start what will potentially be his final flying lap.
But we'll keep on board with Wheeler here, because he's going to be trying to make sure that he gets a decent time, but I've actually just checked, this isn't going to be his time lap. Patterson retired from session. Ooh. Yeah,
it was a huge speed. Just clipped the curb up the inside of Eau Rouge there, unsettled the car majorly, carrying a hell of a lot of speed, and just went catapulting into the barrier there. So unfortunate for him, that's going to be a retirement from this session. Holding P5 currently, so they
still a good performance though.
It's still a great lap. I wouldn't be complaining.
So Osborne going to be getting across the line next, as out of the people that haven't set a time yet. Wheeler does set a time, but it's a 2:05, so he's definitely going to be going around again to try and beat that. Definitely just giving up on that lap in the end there, I think. Osborne, however, looking quite strong at the moment. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him coming into the final chicane here. But if he can keep it together, this should catapult him right up the order. I'm looking potentially at a top 10 if he can keep it together in this final turn. So we'll keep an eye on where he crosses the line. He spins a little bit out there. That's going to compromise him massively. And he only goes 17th. So big mistake there on the final couple of corners, costing Osborne a decent chance. So 40 seconds left in the session. A lot of the field currently out there trying to better their times. We'll take a little bit of a look further up the order. We've got Albert, who is out there on the softs. So we saw him set his lap previously on the mediums, and that was good enough for 7th. What can he do on these soft tyres? Granty Boy also out there on the softs, so it'll be interesting to see what time he's going to be posting once he gets across the line with those faster tyres on. Joseph Morales puts himself onto the first row of the grid, so cracking lap there, 1:42.9 from the Alfa Romeo driver. Chatty Duck, though, is currently on a flyer and has just set a fastest sector 2, so he is going to be looking to answer right back with a trip to the first row of the grid of his own. Butler has come across the line and finished with his fastest lap on the medium. So far, the only driver to have accomplished that, had the mediums fitted, I should say. That doesn't mean his fastest lap was on the mediums. Chatted up then, just about to come across the line, across the final chicane. Got to keep it all together here. What's it going to be? Is it going to be good enough for third row? It's not. No, he's going to be on the second row
and we see
at the moment.
Albert also abandoning that lap there, diving straight back into pit lane. Big shout out for Trent though. He got
up there into
out of nowhere
6th.
there.
And NUFC fan Liam just comes out of nowhere and steals the front row from Joseph. So fantastic work from the McLaren driver. Went under the radar this session.
Cracking race. But I think it's now time, Tom, we just run through the top 10 here. So we've got Grant on pole position.
I was going to say, we still have people finishing. 2 seconds, because James Hunt has just jumped up to 8th. Leonard Cam is out on a flyer as well. He'll be looking to improve his time. He's just coming up to the final chicane, so currently sitting in 11th. He could relegate Albert to the lower 10th of the grid here, and it's looking like he's going to. Yes, he is. He's going to leapfrog his teammate as well into 8th position. So Patterson, who probably did need to get that final lap in the end, now finds himself in 10th.
Just say Rados as well. He's also out on circuit. I don't know if
He's not setting a quick lap. No, he's calling
not setting a flyer. He's on a cool down.
Pressing Mixer is also jumping in the pits.
A little bit of a mic problem there for you, Tom. Right, I think we've got a little bit of an issue there with Tom's mic. If you can hear me, Tom, just try twisting that cable a little teeny bit. No, unfortunately, it's still not quite right, but we'll let you sort that out very briefly. I'll just run through the top 10 as it stands for the start here in Belgium. So we've got Grant sitting on pole with a sweet 141.4 he set towards the end of the session there. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, NUFC fan Liam. Ryle lining up on the second row of the grid, we have Joseph Morados and Chatty Duck in his Ferrari. Good to see the Ferrari getting that all-important second row of the grid that he's been looking for the first row, but I'm sure he'll settle with that following last week's results. P5 goes to Mogi, P6 goes to Vicky644, who managed to set a lap towards the end in that Haas and absolutely storm it. So that was a great lap. P7, Butler, Trem sets up in 8th position, and rounding out the top 10 you have the two Mercedes of Lanocam and James Punt. Now, I don't know, Tom, have we sorted that microphone out? I don't think we have, so let's just wait and see what happens here. But either way, we've got, there we see the lineup. Most drivers, well, certainly the first 11 drivers setting up on the soft tyre. Albert, the only driver there to post his qualifying lap on the medium tyre, so it is at this point, however, we would be taking on the next segment of the beer chat, but I think that will probably have to wait until potentially a little bit later on. Tom does seem to be having some serious microphone issues right now, unfortunately, so we'll just wait and see if he can get those sorted. Meanwhile, these boys are going to be lining up on the grid to take the 5 red lights right after a formation lap. So we'll see them roll around Belgium. It's going to be a long formation lap as well. It's a long circuit, as we discussed earlier on, but gives them a good chance to warm those tyres and brakes up. Just wait for everyone to join the session, sort out their strategies. As we discussed earlier on, strategy is going to be huge for this race. But it seems that a lot of the guys will be starting on the soft tyre, but we shall see that, I assume, when we fire back up again. So here we go then. Off the line for the formation lap, we see Grant followed by Liam, Mrados, Chatty Duck, Mogi, Vicky, Butler, Trem, Lanocam and James Punt as your top 10. Unfortunately, following his spin, Ethan Patterson starts P11, so he'll be one to watch along with 12th place Racing Point Albert Dewitt. And also Butters as well. Butters has looked very, very strong this season, so the Renault driver there starting P13 with ballsy impressing Mixer for company. N. Willis starts 16th, so 3 places off where he wanted to be after qualifying. And D. Lawson, Osborne and Wheeler round out the rear sections of the grid. So I'll try and keep up with this as best I can whilst I think Tom tries to sort out another form of headset. I believe he's going to be, unfortunately he's the one streaming at the minute, so we've got, just looking at the stream, I think we're probably going to see a pause screen for a little while, but we'll just How are we looking, Tom? Any movement on that microphone? Nope, it doesn't sound like it. It does not sound like it. So here we go. Oh. Right, ladies and gentlemen, apologies so far for this bit of a shambles here at the moment. Not playing. Right, I'm just going to check this, see if you can hear me at least. Right. So you might have a little bit of a crackle on your screen, but anyway, we are going to have to jump in and try and digest this mid-race. We're now lap 4 of 11 here in Spa. Safety car out following Wolsey's DNF. I did manage to catch that section as we ride on board currently with Albert running P7. He's up 5 places from the start, along with Ethan, newcomer to the league. 2 other big movers are back down the order. D. Lawson sitting P11 currently, up 6 places, and Wheeler also up 6 places. You see both Ethan and Albert both pit under safety car conditions, so looking to get that strategy in early. There seems to be a lot of pit crews out in the pit lane waiting for people to see. Is that a Alfa Romeo coming out of pit lane? Yes, it is. It looks like Joseph Rados. Fresh set of tyres along with Vicky 644 in the Haas. Also fresh set of mediums. We've also got to take into account here though that I think, if I just have a little look over here, Albert is the only driver heading out onto the soft tyres, so we can expect some decent pace from him coming into the last half of this race. It still looks like we're going to be doing at least another lap under safety car, so fingers crossed comes in this time round. But still, your leader Grant is sitting out in front. He'd built up around a 2.5 second lead from NUFC Fanley, and Mogi and that Williams still sitting there, 3rd position. Chatty Duck unfortunately seems to have dropped a few places, also gained himself a bit of a penalty there as well. We shall have a little look. He's got a 3-second penalty, but equally the big penalty in the field at the minute is NUFC Fanley, and currently 2nd place with a drive-through penalty, so I suspect he was either speeding under safety car and just made a little bit of a mistake there. So that'll be a big moment for him. There'll be a big movement there. Expect him to potentially drop down the order. That could cause him some real issues in this race. Further back down the field though, we see James Punt has also dropped down the order somewhat, whether that was to do with a pit stop. We see that he's put the hard tyres on, so you know, you'd think maybe he's a little bit more comfortable on the harder compound tyre around this circuit. But it looks like we've just had, yep, safety car is in this lap, race control. So Grant will now back them all up. If we just follow him as he starts to back the cars up, going up the hill into sector 3. Obviously, no overtaking until the timing line. Very difficult to to really overtake on a safety car restart here. You've got to time that restart right going on to the start-finish straight, as that final chicane can be a little bit lethal if you light the rear wheels up too soon. Safety car disappears up the hill and will peel off into pit lane. It's now down to Grant to control the safety car restart. We saw an interesting one from Butters last week in the Renault at Zandvoort. He just lit it up on the banked corner, but Grant looking like he's going to propel himself away down the start-finish straight. And we are green. We are back racing, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go again. All the cars piling into that final chicane, but Grant heads up now through Eau Rouge for lap number 6 of this 11-lap race here in Spa. Full power up through there, slight lift there, and just send it down that straight, covering that inside line there. From NUFC fan Liam, worthwhile mentioning he's got a drive-through penalty, so he's going to want to see if he can get anything out of this. He's going to try and make a move. He's going to want to try and get something done sooner rather than later. Grant really got nothing to worry about there, in the sense that he's going to know that Liam's going to have that drive-through penalty. Looking further back, we're going to see who's sitting quite close. Chatty Duck, right on the tail of Joseph Morados' Alfa Romeo there. Looking to maybe catch him as they head down the hill. Watch that inside curb on the left there, kind of very, very close. And he's still on the tail of Joseph Morados as they head down towards the end of Sector 2. Further back then, we see Albert on those soft tyres, right on the gearbox of Ethan in P8, so he's going to want to get that done. He's looking forward as well, and seeing Lanarcam and Chatty Duck, Joseph Morados all up ahead of him. Lanarcam runs wide at the exit of that turn. Ethan's going to look to buy into that going up the hill. He's going to have the inside line for the king because he got enough of the car ahead of him to get this done. No, not quite. Looks like Lanard is just going to keep that position. He's just going to hold the position running into the final couple of turns here. Maybe a little deep there. Morados dives into pit lane, so is there a slight problem there for Joseph in the Alfa Romeo? But we see everyone else heading across the line there to start lap number 7. Safety car VSC deployed. So it looks like we've got Pressing Mixer. Looks like he's in the grass there, just on the exit of Sector 2, I want to say. So yeah, Pressing Mixer is out of the race on those 1 lap old mediums. It's a shame for him. That's one Ferrari now out of this race. We've got a Ferrari out and an Alfa Romeo out, so 2 DNFs so far. Remember, in the new format, that it's worthwhile noting that in order to be considered for the reverse grid, you need to finish the race. As we see now, Ethan making that move up the inside of the Mercedes. But having dropped all the way back, he's dropped back behind James Punt, so maybe a slight issue there. I might miss that. I'm trying to sort of keep tabs on Tom's stream that he's still trying to run there in the background, so there's sort of a little delay there as well. We will do the best that we can with the situation given. I believe after this race we will probably try and reset the stream in between races, so be prepared for that. There may be another link appearing. We'll see if we can get this back online. Meanwhile we see Albert still hot on the heels of Lanarcam's Mercedes. Shaddy Duck still running in P5. Vicky 644, newcomer to the league, running P4, looking to get that P3 off of Mogi. Dives to the outside. DRS is now enabled as they come out of the final turn. Maybe just a little bit offline there to get the power down nice and quickly. Just going to lose a little bit of time there on Mogi and that Williams. So Mogi holds position, holds that podium spot. Let's see another pit stop here from D Lawson on those 2 lap old mediums. So potential damage. Are we going to be seeing a wing replacement? It looks like we could well be. Yes, yep, it's damage to the front wing of D Lawson's McLaren. So he will be, potentially looking at that second race there. Sector 1 and 2 yellow flags as we see cars go through the chicane there. Looks like there's a Haas it looks like Vicky's had a bit of an issue, maybe following Mogi a little bit closely there. Didn't quite see what happened on my side of things, but definitely an issue there. Vicky dropping back to P8. Moves Albert up to P6 now on those soft tyres, right in behind Lano Cam now as they come down through Sector 2, watching those curbs, getting the power down, DRS enabled. Albert looking up the inside, having a quick peek, see if he can get anything out of it. Just going to sit in behind that Mercedes, try and pick up a bit of a draft, a little bit of a tow. We've seen in qualifying how big of a difference you can get from a tow up Sector 3, so he's going to be carrying a lot more speed. Naturally on those soft tyres, he's also going to want to try and make that move before he reaches the top of the hill. You can see just up ahead he's got Chatty Duck there in P4, who could, well, potentially be a sitting duck by the time Albert gets past Lano Cam. He's going to want to get the move done soon. Tries a tighter exit out of the final corner, gets a good exit. Lano Cam comes across to defend. Albert looks to the inside line. I think he's going to have to run. Braking zone into turn 1. Gets the move done. Good space given there by Lano Cam. Is he going to try the switch back as they head up to Eau Rouge? No, he's not going to have the exit out of turn 1. So Albert takes P4 as they head up to Eau Rouge. Now he is of Chatty Duck, which finds itself in a... Looking at penalties, however, Albert will need to pull at least a 5-second gap on Lano Cam now. And it looks like Lano Cam's got the move done on Albert again, so a sneaky little move up the DRS zone into the final turns of Sector 1, the beginning of Sector 2. But Albert looking back up the inside, he's going to get a great run off this corner. Lano's going to have the inside line for the next turn down the hill, so they now begin their run down through Sector 2. This is one hell of a battle we've got going on here. Full speed. Albert knows that he's got to try and pull a bit of a gap out there. NUFC fan Liam, meanwhile, having served his drive-through penalty now, sitting P6, currently with no penalties, and he's only 3 seconds behind Albert. So potentially here, there's a chance that Albert, with that 5-second penalty, if he doesn't get a move on here, could lose a couple of positions, which would also mean that B. Wheeler up 12 places. As we said, most improved driver last season, up 12 places to P7, so he's having an absolute barnstormer of a race there. Meanwhile, we see up front there, Grant pulling out that 10-second advantage on Mogi. Mogi finds himself in second with Chatty Duck for company now. Chatty Duck in range as they head up towards Eau Rouge for that first DRS zone. So will we see a move made here from Chatty? We will wait and see as they enter the DRS zone. Maybe not quite in range there. He's going to have to just close that gap up a little bit more, be a little bit patient with it as they enter the final lap. He's taken 0.3 of a second. 0.3 of a second off of him there, going in towards Sector 2. So he will sit behind that Williams ever longer. Meanwhile, we still see Albert struggling to find his way past Lano Cam in that Mercedes. Looking further back, we've got B. Wheeler just up ahead of Ethan. Ethan Patterson up 3 places from his qualifying position, so he finds himself mid positions, and he will find himself in that sort of area for the beginning of race 2. So that'll be an interesting one to see. Beginning of race 2, as we just see just about his track limits there a little bit, picks up a 3-second penalty. Still looking at the penalties to see exactly what we've got going on here in that sense. So we see Ethan having 6 seconds of penalties, which could see him drop all the way back to P11 as it stands currently with the intervals on the screen. We also see Albert with 5 seconds, Mogi with 3, Chatty Duck also with 3. The interesting thing being that Lano Cam is sitting 2.5 seconds away from Chatty Duck. So currently, as it stands, potentially you could see that Mercedes on the podium in second place. If that gap between Mogi and Chatty Duck stays as it is, we could see some very interesting changes at the top. In other news, here we go. We see Grant on his final lap as he heads down into Sector 2. The aerial shot that I've got on my screen as we speak, making that Red Bull look absolutely fantastic as he glides it down the hill, down through Sector 2. Oh, Mogi's retired from the session as well. I don't quite know what's happened here. Yellow flags in Sector 2 as he hit it into... Has he gone into a wall there? Just going to try and find out what happens if I look further back down the field. I think Joseph Marados is going to be the man who's approaching the area now where the incident occurred. I think he's gone